The banana peel you threw away this morning could have been the most direct source of potassium your tomato plants will receive all season. The coffee grounds from last night's pot could have fed your soil for a week. If you are spending money on potassium supplements or nitrogen fertilizer for your kitchen garden, there is a good chance you are already producing both of those things at breakfast and pouring them into the trash. I have watched people spend $12 and $14 a bottle on liquid plant food season after season, while the thing their garden actually needed most was sitting in the peel stripped from a banana at the breakfast table. The two together, used in the right way at the right time, cover almost every nutritional need a productive tomato plant has, from first flowering through the last fruit of the season. Neither of them costs anything beyond what you were already spending on breakfast. What if the $26 you spent last season on potassium and nitrogen supplements stayed in your pocket because you were already producing both of those things in your kitchen and throwing them away every morning? I am going to show you how to use both of them today, and the one thing about the order and timing of how you apply them together that most people who try this never figure out. I am Elias. I am Amish. My family has farmed this ground in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania since 1838, and a kitchen garden has grown beside this house every summer of that time. In this house, very little from the kitchen goes into the trash if the garden can use it first. I will show you exactly why and exactly how. Quick word before I show you exactly how we put this to work. A lot of the old methods my family uses never fit into a single video. That is what the book is for. A new edition is coming soon, updated and expanded, and it will be available only here on this channel. The old edition was $47. This one will be $39. If you want it, it will be there. Near the end of this video, I am going to explain why using both of these preparations on the same plant in the same week can work against you, and what the correct sequence is depending on where your plant is in its season. That is the part most people skip or never hear about. Stay for it. And if you have not yet subscribed, do that now. Here is the thing most people have backward about kitchen scraps. Your banana peel is not a byproduct of eating breakfast. It is a potassium delivery vehicle that happens to come wrapped around the fruit you are eating. Your coffee grounds are not used up and done. They are dried plant matter loaded with nitrogen, magnesium, and phosphorus that your soil's microorganisms convert directly into plant food. You are not making fertilizer from waste. You are recognizing that the fertilizer was already there, and you were putting it in the wrong place. My wife Esther has kept 2 jars on the kitchen counter for as long as I can remember. A glass jar for the banana peels, filled with water each evening before she goes to bed. A smaller tin on the shelf for the coffee grounds, spread out to dry before they go in. This is not something we read in a book. It is what happens when you learn early that the kitchen and the garden are the same system, and nothing from one is wasted before the other has had its say. What I am going to show you is what goes into those jars and what comes out of them. The first thing to understand about a banana peel is what is inside it. A ripe banana peel carries a significant concentration of potassium, along with smaller amounts of calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium. Potassium is the nutrient that matters most to a tomato plant at the moment it is trying to do 2 things at once: flower and ripen fruit. It is the element that regulates how the plant moves water and sugars through its tissue, which is why a potassium-deficient tomato produces fruit that ripens unevenly, sometimes pale at the shoulders while still green at the blossom end and noticeably less sweet than it should be. A banana peel delivers this potassium in a form that is water-soluble and quickly available to the root, which is why a simple peel left overnight in water is more useful to a flowering tomato than many of the powder-based potassium products sold at the garden store. My grandfather grew tomatoes in this same county ground for 60 years and never bought a potassium supplement in his life. The peel went in the jar went on the sill. The tomatoes ripened the way tomatoes are supposed to ripen, sweet and even in color all the way to the stem. Here is how to prepare it correctly. Take the banana peel and cut it into small pieces before soaking. Cut them to 1/2 inch or smaller. This step matters more than most people realize. A whole peel soaking overnight releases potassium slowly from its outer surface only. The same peel cut into small pieces releases potassium from every cut edge and every internal surface at the same time. The difference in concentration after an overnight soak is significant, and it is the difference between a preparation that gives your plant a noticeable result and one that barely registers. Cut the pieces small. This one step is worth doing right. Place the cut pieces into a clean glass jar and cover them completely with clean water. About 2 cups of water for the peels from 2 bananas is the right proportion. Use water at room temperature, not cold and not hot. Hot water will begin to alter the chemical structure of the minerals before the soaking even starts. Leave the jar to soak for at least 6 hours, but overnight gives you a better concentration. When you return, the water should have turned a light brown. That color is the potassium and other minerals now suspended in the liquid. That is what you want. Filter out every piece of solid through a clean cloth or a fine mesh strainer before you apply it. This step is not optional. Small pieces of organic matter left in the solution will sit on the soil surface after you pour it and begin decomposing there, which encourages mold growth and draws insects to the base of the plant. The liquid itself feeds the root. The solid pieces left behind create problems. Filter everything out and discard the solids. Before you apply, loosen the top layer of soil around the base of each plant in a ring 6 to 8 inches from the stem, where the feeding roots are active. A hand cultivator or the end of a trowel worked lightly around that ring breaks up the hardened surface crust, lets air into the root zone, and allows the liquid to soak down rather than run off. Once the soil is loosened, pour the filtered banana peel water slowly and evenly over the loosened ring. Do not pour it against the stem itself. Apply this once a week during the period when your plant is actively flowering and setting fruit. That is when the potassium is doing its most useful work, and that is when it belongs. The coffee ground preparation works on the same principle, but addresses a different set of needs, and it has one step at the very beginning that most people skip, and that matters more than anything else in the process. Dry the grounds first. Used coffee grounds come out of the pot wet and still warm, and wet organic matter left to sit in a closed container will begin growing mold within a few hours. That mold, introduced to your soil at the root zone, does not feed your plant. It competes with the beneficial microbial life already in the ground and can create anaerobic conditions at the root surface that damage what you are trying to build. Spread your used coffee grounds on a clean cloth or a small tray immediately after brewing and let them dry completely before you do anything else with them. In a warm kitchen, a day on the counter is usually enough. The grounds should feel dry and loose to the touch, not clumped or damp. Only dry grounds go into the preparation. If they smell musty or show any white or gray surface, they have already begun to mold and should go into the compost pile, not into this preparation. The consequences of skipping the drying step are not dramatic and not immediate, but over several applications, you will begin to see the soil around the base of the plant staying wet longer than it should and the lower leaves showing stress. You have introduced the wrong kind of microbial activity at the root zone, and the coffee ground water that was supposed to help is now doing the opposite. Dry the grounds. It costs nothing but a day on the counter. Once the grounds are dry, place 2 tablespoons into a clean jar and add 1 liter of water, which is roughly 1 quart, at room temperature. Stir the mixture well and let it rest for a full 24 hours. The longer soak compared to the banana peel preparation is necessary. Coffee grounds release their nitrogen, magnesium, and phosphorus more slowly than banana peel releases its potassium, and the full 24 hours is what it takes to build a meaningful concentration in the water. Stirring once partway through helps. After 24 hours, filter the preparation through a fine cloth or a strainer until the liquid runs clear. Again, this step removes every undissolved particle that would otherwise sit on the soil surface and cause problems. The filtered liquid carries the nutrients in a form the root can absorb directly. The filtered solids can go into a compost pile. Apply the coffee ground water in the same way as the banana peel water. Loosen the soil around the base of each plant first, then pour slowly in a ring, keeping clear of the stem. Once a week, on its own schedule. The mild acidity of the preparation will nudge the soil pH gently in the direction your tomatoes prefer, and the nitrogen it delivers supports steady leaf and stem development through the early and middle stages of the plant's growth. I will be honest with you about what these two preparations do and what they do not do. They are not concentrated fertilizers. They will not rescue a plant that is growing in severely depleted soil with no organic matter and no microbial life. What they do, used consistently and at the right times, is maintain a slow, steady supply of essential nutrients to the soil microorganisms that make those nutrients available to the root. A plant fed this way over a full season shows the results in the quality of the fruit and the consistency of production rather than in dramatic growth spurts. Within the first 2 to 3 weeks of consistent banana peel application during flowering, you will notice the fruit clusters becoming more uniform. The tomatoes will tend to color more evenly from stem to blossom end. You will not see a plant that doubles in size. You will see a plant that does what it is supposed to do without running out of what it needs to do it. That is the kind of result that holds across years rather than fading when you stop buying a bottle. Now, the timing, because this is the piece most people who try both of these preparations never hear about, and it is the reason some of them see good results and some of them see almost none. Potassium and nitrogen support different things in the plant at different times. Early in the season, when your tomato is putting out leaf and stem, pushing its roots deeper, and building the structure it will need to carry fruit, nitrogen is the primary need. The coffee ground preparation belongs here. From the moment the first flower cluster appears, the plant's priorities shift. It is now trying to set fruit, move sugars into developing tomatoes, and ripen what it has already started. That is potassium's work. The banana peel water belongs here. If you apply both preparations every week from the beginning of the season, you are delivering significant nitrogen at the exact moment the plant is trying to stop vegetative growth and begin fruiting. Excess nitrogen at that stage pushes the plant back toward leaves. Flowers drop without setting. The plant looks green and healthy and gives you very little to eat. You have fed it well and asked it to do two things at the same time that it cannot do at the same time. Use the coffee ground water from transplanting until the first flower cluster opens. Once the flowers appear, switch to the banana peel water and hold the coffee ground preparation for the following season. One preparation per week is enough. The plant receives what it needs at the stage when it needs it, and neither nutrient is working against the other. The signal to switch is the first set of flower buds visible on the plant, usually small yellow clusters forming at the junction of a main branch. You do not need to wait until the flowers are open. The bud is the signal. From that point forward, the banana peel water is what belongs at the root. If your plants are already flowering and you have not been using either preparation yet, start with the banana peel water this week and run it through the rest of the fruiting season. Begin the full two-phase sequence next spring from transplant day. The difference between one season of random application and one season of the correct sequence is something most people notice clearly enough that they do not need to be told what caused the change. One season of the correct sequence will show you what the plant can do. There is one situation where I would adjust this. If you are growing in a container or a small raised bed that has been producing tomatoes for 2 or more seasons without fresh soil added, The coffee groundwater can continue alternating with the banana peel water even into flowering at a reduced frequency, once every 2 weeks rather than once a week. A confined soil volume in a container depletes faster than open ground, and the nitrogen and magnesium from the coffee grounds help maintain what the root zone needs, even in the fruiting stage. For in-ground garden beds, stick to the sequence as I described. Here is your plan for this week. Tonight, cut 2 banana peels into small pieces, no larger than ½ an inch, and put them in a clean jar with 2 cups of water at room temperature. Leave the jar overnight. Tomorrow morning, spread whatever coffee grounds you brewed this week on a cloth to dry. By tomorrow evening, your banana peel water will be ready. Filter it through a cloth, loosen the soil around each plant, and apply it in the ring around the base. If your plants already have flowers on them, begin with the banana peel water this week. If your plants are still in early vegetative growth, begin the coffee ground preparation once the grounds are dry, and let the banana peel water wait until flowering begins. Before we close, one thing plainly: a bottle of synthetic potassium or nitrogen fertilizer leaves something behind in your soil that a banana peel or a coffee ground does not: salt. Small residues from each application, each season, that build up over years in a way that changes the soil chemistry in a direction that makes the soil less capable of feeding a plant on its own. You need more of the bottle each year to hold even. The banana peel leaves potassium and goes away clean. The coffee grounds leave nitrogen and improve the soil structure as they decompose. One approach is building your ground. The other is building a dependency on a shelf. I am not saying anyone designed it that way. I am saying it is what happens, and you now know what the other way looks like. Tell me in the comments whether you have been saving your banana peels and coffee grounds or throwing them away, and tell me what you are growing right now and what state you are in. I read everyone, and if your situation calls for something different from what I described here, I will tell you what to change. Next time, I want to show you how the color of a single leaf tells you exactly what is missing in your soil. No kit, no test, no laboratory. The leaf in your hand is the whole test. That is what the next video is about. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Stay careful. Stay plain. And remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just beginning to remember.